Hey guys, so today I'm going to be filming another Writing Raws voiceover video. This video is a little bit different just because it's while I was having my lesson. I decided to do a voiceover instead of using like my coach's voice in the background because sound quality isn't very good. This was filmed on my phone by my coach's partner, which is awesome, and also because I pay money to receive these lessons and my instructor would prefer if, you know, people who want this advice also paid her money, which is definitely fair enough. So I am going to be talking about what I learned during this lesson and just kind of commentating what is going on. So at the moment, as you can see, we are just training on a 20-meter circle. He is quite grumpy, he's quite stiff in the neck. As you can see here, he's not really bending and flexing super well or coming down onto the bit, but he is traveling really nicely. He has a really good pace and a really active hind end, which is good. You can see just there he bent a little bit more to the inside. And here we do a leg yield to get him listening to my leg. He's rushing a little bit, but it was a reasonable leg yield and he went nicely to the side. This is a new technique that we have started doing with him, is instead of kind of doing something more drastic like a really sudden halt or a really sharp half halt or anything, we're doing 10-meter circles just intermittently, or when he stops listening, or any of the above, to get him really listening to my legs without rushing. I don't know about you, but if you run in a really small circle, it's hard to do it really fast, and I guess the same thing applies to him. It really makes him kind of sit back and work from his big fat golden bottom and listen to me. So that has been going really well. The 10-meter circles, I would definitely recommend them if your horse is able to do them well. I know some young horses struggle. Just here we're doing a 10-meter figure of 8 on the short side of the arena. This exercise is so good for him. I did it this morning when I rode, and it just makes him listen and bend so well. It also stops him kind of anticipating anything because you're changing direction and they're constantly having to flex a different way. So yeah, it got him listening to my leg really, really well and stopped him from kind of pulling out of the circle. Here we're going back onto the large 20-meter circle, just getting him listening. He's pulling quite a lot there, so we come to half halt coming through the corner here. And then pushing him to the inside. You can see he's a little bit distracted, but he's going reasonably nicely still. Here you can see his attention comes back to me and his pace gets nicer, and then we get a really, really nice canter transition. His canter transitions are getting much better. Definitely bringing him back and having him working properly before I asked for the transition has stopped him running into the transition, and it stopped him getting the wrong leg. He still is building up a lot of strength in the canter. You can see it's quite long. It looks reasonably good, but he does find it quite difficult, I think, to balance himself in the canter, which is okay. He's definitely better this way than the other way, and it is still a reasonably good canter. It's just a matter of kind of bringing him back enough so that he's working without bringing him back too far so that the canter dies off and he goes back into the trot. So that's really all we're doing at the moment with the canter. You can see he fell back into the trot there. A little bit of an uglier transition, but you know, it got the point across. You can see here he's bending more to the inside. There we go, that's so much better right there. He's definitely getting stronger, but it is just a matter of time and building up those muscles and his confidence with it. Like I said, when I think in my new horse video, he had been out of serious work for a long time, and the person who last leased him definitely didn't do any of this kind of work with him, which is okay, but it just means we have to build him back up. So once I have come out of the canter transition, immediately we do another one of those circles just to get him back on the same page, coming back underneath me, working from behind and bending to the inside, and just stop him kind of rushing or dying or just ending up with like a really long running trot, which is not what we want. You can see he's coming back a little bit more with the bend here, and then we're changing rein across the diagonal. This was definitely not straight. I think he was just a bit sensitive to my leg, but that is okay. And then just after the transition there, we came the change of rein there we came to a stop. That was a much better stop. They have been getting much better, and also this is the new bit that I'm riding in, which I will be filming a video all about very soon, so get keen. So we're just doing another 10 meter circle here to get him listening to me, and he's so grumpy. He does have a tendency to rush into the corners as well, so that's why we tend to do a lot of 10 meter circles in the corners or close to the corners, just because it makes him kind of come back and listen and not anticipate just rushing into the corners, which is so much better. You can see along there he worked much more nicely, and then that corner was a lot nicer as well. He's definitely getting a much better frame, which I'm super happy about. And it's definitely much more consistent, as you can see. So we're just coming back onto the circle here. As I've said in the last couple of videos, we're definitely still working on making the circle bigger and smaller to get him listening to my leg without thinking that he just has to rush forward off of it. And it's a really handy tool for just getting him flexing and moving in off of the leg and out off of the leg, and I really would recommend trying it. When they come onto the small circle, you have to bring them right back to a much slower trot and get them flexing, and then you can gradually go to the outside, and you can see that work just there was really nice. He's definitely getting the idea, which is super encouraging, and he feels much nicer. I can be a bit more kind of spongy on his mouth now without him just pulling and resisting or stopping. Like, he's definitely getting it, which is really awesome to feel. Until he puts his nose out, but this is okay. You can see there, he's definitely working a lot better. He's much stronger this way, I think, in the trot as well. He just finds it easier to flex. I think one of the biggest things with Chevy is that he can get really locked in the neck and really kind of stiff and straight and just not flex either way, and then that leads on to the pulling and the running through his shoulders. So this is definitely encouraging when he kind of relaxes his neck and bends and flexes, and it kind of gets rid of, even just when he's bending, he doesn't run out because he's actually working from behind, which is so much nicer than having him just like run off to the side or pull or get away with everything. So we're just changing reins here. He's a little bit distracted in that corner, which is okay because things are happening and they're not robots. So in relation to that, we just do another little circle just to get him listening and coming back to me instead of running away. This way he's much more stiff in the neck. He finds it a lot harder to bend around my leg in this direction. So we come onto the circle here and you have to stop for pit stop. And now we're going again. So he's much stiffer in the neck going this way. You can probably see that he tilts his head there, which is pretty much him just evading the contact. And you can see coming around, that corner was actually decent, but you'll be able to see coming around the corners that he's definitely not bending as much as the other way. You can see there he's pulling a little bit. This side of the circle he seemed to be better on, but the other side he was definitely super stiff. Also, just looking to the outside, you can see that he didn't bend around that corner at all. He had his inside shoulder pushing to the inside of the circle, and yeah, he just looked outwards and braced his neck. He's above the bit here. So we come in on the small circle. This is a really good way to see. So when we come in on the small circle, you can immediately see he's bending there. I'm using my outside leg to push him in and my outside rein to half hold him and stop him rushing, and then just getting a feel of my inside hand on the reins and the bit just to get him to flex. And because he is not running and because he's kind of my outside aids are strong, he's able to flex to the inside much more easily. Him being stiff in the neck and running is not necessarily him being naughty, it's just that he's not strong enough on this side of his body on the inside to bend as well as he does on the other side, which is completely fine. So you can see here, as we pushed him out to the outside, I kept that strong rein on the outside to stop him from rushing out through his outside shoulder, and just kept the same feeling on the inside hand to ask him to flex to the inside. And basically, if you can get it on the small circle, the more you practice, and if you keep them nice and steady, you know, they're going to do the same thing on the bigger circle, which is really, really good. So changing reins here, you can see he comes above the bit, but that is okay. He's getting much more consistent in the trot, but obviously when you go from like a nice relaxed circle to changing rein and doing something different, he's going to come above the bit and have a look around, and that is okay. So we're just getting him back and nice on this circle again. You can see he's quite foamy at the mouth, which is good. He's a little bit distracted by the car. So just keeping him forward here without letting him run. And then he comes back to the bit a bit more there, which is nice. And I'm pretty sure we're going to canter in a second, but that there I would not canter from because he would run and most likely get the wrong leg. So just bring him back first. You can see I brought him back and then I asked for the transition. Never ask for a nice canter transition from a crappy trot, because it's not going to work. It's going to be really, really difficult for them, and they'll probably get the wrong leg, and it's, you know, it's not very encouraging or educational for anyone. This way he finds much more difficult to canter, I think. He's just not as balanced and not as strong. You can see he looks a bit more strung out, a bit longer, and I have to be a bit more kind of firm with keeping him forward in the canter. The more I bring him back and the harder that it is for him to canter in this way, the more he just wants to come back to the trot. That's quite deep sand there, but yeah, he does find it harder this way. So if I kind of bring him back and then send him forward and then bring him back and then send him forward, he gets the idea of working under himself without it being super, super hard, and without falling back into the trot. So yeah, I'm sure obviously he'll build up his canter this way with time, and then when we come back into the trot, just immediately go back to asking for those things you were asking for in the trot. Just like you want your upward transitions to be good, you want your downward transitions to be good, if not better, because it's so easy for them to like come out of the canter into the trot, or come out of the trot into the walk and just dive on their front end and die, and like in the gate just go really slow and then you fall forward, and it's really quite an ugly picture. So it's really important, even just for a couple of circles or a couple of strides after the downward transition, keep them in a really, really nice pace, and make sure that you're keeping it consistent, because if you keep it consistent, they will work more consistently. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this voiceover video. I hope you learned something and enjoyed seeing Chevy look better fancy. He's doing really, really well and I'm super pleased with him. And yeah, let me know what videos you guys want to see, and I will see you next time.